Awesome. Can everybody see okay? Give some thumbs up. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for having me here today at the Level Up conference. And I just have to say, what a wonderful way to spend your time choosing to level up on your health and relationships in your future. And I was so privileged to see the last two speakers, and I'm so inspired by your messages. And thank you for all the good work you're out there doing. And I think what I'm going to say in my presentation is going to piggyback right off of the two prior presenters, and that I'm here to talk about exploring big emotions through storytelling, through film. And I think probably one of the most important stories that you tell is the story that you tell yourself. And when you tell yourself the right story and you tell others the right story, I think that's when you can really level up. And that's when you have the power to change the world. And I'm here to tell you, and that's one thing that I would just love for you to walk away with today, is that you have the power to change the world. You have the power to impact your own future health and relationships, but you also have the power to impact others' future health and relationships all over the world. And here's how. The researchers Green and Brock talk about what happens to us when we consume media. And it really is such an intimate act, because when we're watching those movies, when we're looking at those videos, we're allowing content to enter into our minds and into our psyche. So the term that researchers use is transportation. And transportation is what happens to us when we walk into a theater or we open up a movie on our laptop or on a phone. We step into a new world and we go into a state of suspension of disbelief. So when we're in the state of suspension of disbelief, that's when we have the highest knowledge gains, the biggest shifts in attitude, and the greatest changes in behavior or a behavioral intention. So this is the power of storytelling on the screen. Movies literally have the power to change our minds and to change our behavior. So back when I was a kid, because I'm older, we only got to see movies in the movie theater and maybe sometimes on television. And we really only had 4 channels on our television. And it was really exciting. And you had to run to the phone and like do everything on the commercial because it just kept rolling. You couldn't pause it. But today it feels like we are hit with movies and videos and content from the minute we wake up in the morning. I know my phone is right there by my bed to the minute we go to sleep at night. And that's constant. Movies are in there trying to change our psyche, influence our behavior. It can be overwhelming, and it makes me feel a little bit powerless sometimes. But I'm here to tell you that we're not powerless. And I'm here to tell you, you have the power to change the world. So we used to say information is power, but now we have all the information that we could ever consume in like a million lifetimes in the palm of our hand. I would argue that today, focus is power. And it's what we choose to focus on that gives us that power. And I'm speaking from personal experience here because 15 years ago, I went from practicing law as a prosecuting attorney, telling stories in the courtroom, to founding a nonprofit Mid-American Emmy Award-winning film company, producing and distributing 11 short films, 1 feature film, 1 feature docudrama, and 1 short virtual reality film, which I cannot wait to share that. And each one of those films is out there changing the world, and I see it happen every single day. So I believe that creating movies, watching movies, creating movies is one of the most powerful ways to explore big feelings. And I know a lot of you out there might be interested in a career in filmmaking, or at least some kind of storytelling, some kind of content creation. And I'd like to give you 4 pieces of advice that have been critical to me in my journey from starting out as an attorney to becoming a filmmaker. And my first piece of advice is just be curious. Be curious about what a good story is. Be curious about what your favorite movie is. Think about that right now. Like, what is your favorite movie? You could even put it in the chat. And then ask yourself, why? Why is that my favorite movie? How does that movie make me feel? What do I think about when I think back about watching that movie? And then think about like the practicalities of it. How was that movie made? Who was in the movie? Where was it made? And then kind of transfer that to, okay, what's the story that's in my heart that I want to get out? What is my story? And then be curious about the intricacies, dive down into the details of that story. What are the details of the story? Who's in your story? What are the characters? What makes the characters tick? Where were they before they came to your story? And where are they going after they leave your story? The second piece of advice I have is just got to be brave, because storytelling it requires a lot of vulnerability. It's just like taking your heart out of your body and putting it out on the table. And it takes a lot of bravery. So be brave, dream about your story, write your story down, write it down badly. You don't even have to write it down legibly the first time you get it down. Just write it, then write it again, and then write it again, and then write it again. You can even draw pictures about your story. I like to go online and find photographs that remind me of my story. Even like movies that you love, that you're like, I love that shot. It stayed with me. I want to recreate that shot in my movie. But you can create mood boards. You can do storyboards. You can create color boards. Color is such an important part of storytelling. Bravely join a writer's group and share your writing with others. Now that takes a lot of bravery, but then when you get the feedback, be brave enough to let it soak in and take that feedback, and then not be insulted. Don't let your ego get bruised. This took me a long time to learn this lesson. And then use that feedback, use those notes to make your story better. Bravely apply to educational programs. There are some in high schools, colleges, film festivals. All the big film festivals have branches of what they do where you can apply as a student or as an adult. And they provide great opportunities to learn about how to tell a story. And they also connect you with people that can help you do that. Film professional organizations also provide those kinds of services, like the Emmys, the Academy of Arts and Sciences. They all have programs for student filmmakers. Most importantly, be brave about supporting others who are telling their stories, because it is such a vulnerable moment. If you support others, they will support you, and you're going to learn from them. Together, you're going to learn so much. There's tons of stories out there. Oh, sorry. There's plenty of stories to tell. So you're not going to be giving anything away by collaborating. My third piece of advice is just do it. Sorry about that. Set a date. Just set a date for your shoot. Get a phone, get your camera, recruit your friends, your family, get your pets, whoever will go out there with you, and just start making movies. Just shoot some footage and put it together. That's the best way to learn, is just to get out there and do it. My final piece of advice is find the joy. Life is too short. You got to play in that sandbox. And when you are creating your stories and you're making your movies and you're creating your content, find the joy in the process of creating. And when you're finished with it, release it to the world and know that everyone out there will consume that art differently. And as an artist, it's your business to make the art, but how someone else thinks about that art or feels about that art, that's their business. Let them experience that. Find the joy in the creation and the channeling. When you get an idea, play with it, have fun with it, but then set it free. Now I'd like to share the trailer for one of the films that I produced with my organization, Just Like You Films. We released it last year. It's a feature documentary film, and it is out there right now, saving the world. Changing the world, and possibly even saving lives. So in this film, it was our mission to help audiences understand and accept and either live life or lift life up with anxiety disorder and depression. And here's that trailer.
It's like I am drowning and everyone's telling me I am not.
I feel trapped and that no one can help me.
It makes me shake and sometimes cry.
Sometimes it feels like I can't take it anymore.
It makes me want to run and hide and lock myself in my room.
I'm convinced that the world is having one big old party and everybody's invited except for me.
Physical cloud that comes
Things that usually make me happy. It just feels easier for me to lay in bed Then do
tell myself
anything
horrible
that-
stories about my future. Like I will lose my job, I will lose my house, I will lose my
Feel like
relationship.
drowning
A
and
lot of time putting on a mask.
I'm helpless.
That's how depression feels to me.
Excessive anxiety impacts my thoughts every single day.
There are 2 ways my body works that I'd like to tell you more about.
2 ways my body works that some people have a hard time understanding.
Just like with any other medical condition, they can worsen and become extremely severe, even life-threatening.
I live with an anxiety disorder and depression.
I do too.
So do I.
The worst thing that happens to anybody when they're going through this is to truly believe that they are the only one in the world going through this and that nobody else will understand. But when we begin to share our stories with each other, somebody can say, I understand. I'm just like you.
Just like you.
Just like you.
Just
Like
like you.
you.
Okay, so that's a trailer from one of our movies that is out there right now. And I would encourage, I would encourage you to go and I would love to share the link to that movie, or just if you could follow us on social media, because I believe that one way to level up and one way to make change is to watch Just Like You films. And I would love it if you would check it out. Go onto our website. You can email me. You can reach out to me. I would love to share more advice and more about what we're doing here at Just Like You Films. And there's opportunities with our youth advisory board. There's internships. And we also love to host screenings at schools and community organizations. But when I said at the top of my discussion with you that I felt like you could change the world, this is what I'm talking about. Is if one person watches a movie and they learn something and then they share it with another person, that person shares it with another person, then it ripples out, and before you know it, we're making some serious change. So thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Jen, for that powerful presentation on storytelling and, following dreams. I think it's just definitely beautiful to see that, your dreams started out with an idea and it's manifested into something that's changing the world. So thank you again for being with us today.